Hi everybody, Sean here from MakeFest, and we are back again with Halton MakeFest 2022 Maker Showcase. Today we are speaking to the fabulous Gail.
Hi Sean.
And we are going to be talking to Gail all about her artisan jewellery and yeah, what she gets up to. So Gail, what are we going to be doing today?
We're going to be making a bracelet similar to this but out of silver.
Oh, fantastic. All right, brilliant. So how do we get started?
Well, we have to, first of all, some of these links are textured, so we're going to have to texture some wire first, which involves a bit of banging with a hammer and some of these little dies. I don't know whether you can...
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, let's get in there and have a look at those.
Catch the detail in these. And it leaves a lovely texture on the wire.
Fantastic. I'm going to come over and have a look as well myself. I'm going to get in there.
Maybe you'd like to try texturing a bit of the wire.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, if you give me a bit of a demonstration. So, you say, are we going to be using silver today, did you say?
Yeah, we are, but I'm going to show you with a bit of copper because in true Blue Peter style, here's some we made earlier.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
yeah, let's start with some
so
copper
we'll demonstrate with some copper. So we need a decent sized hammer and we want something with a slightly curved face so that we're not damaging this die.
Fantastic.
And the first thing we want to do is anneal this to make it nice and soft.
So what are we doing there, sorry? What's it? Anneal?
Annealing, yeah. And basically that's heating the metal, and what it does, it sort of makes all the particles in the metal like loosen up and chill out, man, and make them nice and soft so that we're able to get this impression. That should
Fantastic.
do. We'll use these, and we need to quench it.
Wow.
I know, I love that sound.
Yeah.
Could have done with a bigger bowl. But so next thing we need to do, and this is really important when you're making jewellery, is always dry things off in between, because you don't want any moisture going onto any of your steel tools and leaving rust.
Right.
So,
I was just going to say, is that what's right? That's so rust. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to want anything.
You spend a lot of money on tools. The last thing you want to do is have them rusty. Yeah.
And did you call this a die?
This is a die, yeah. And obviously it's got lots of different impressions in them, as you can see. So you can get these. I've actually got rolling mills at home, which basically have these impressions in, so I can just roll a big sheet, which makes it much, much easier than doing this. But this was the traditional way that things were done originally. And some of these dies are actually antique Indian dies.
Wow.
So.
And so I'm taking it that with these dies, obviously we've got the like 10 patterns on 5 on each. Fantastic. And those are, you can get them in all different types of patterns depending on the type of jewellery that you're trying to make. Yeah. Fantastic. So what type of pattern are we going to go for today? I
don't know. Would you want to choose one? Basically, we want one that this fits nicely into. So we want something.
Would this one work?
Yeah.
Let's go with that one. I've gone for something quite detailed, I think, there. So we'll see.
We just hold it in and whack it, move it along, and again. And you can see why you want a slightly curved face on your hammer, because you can imagine if it had sharp edges, you'd be hitting this and damaging this. And then, I don't know whether you can see.
Oh, wow.
In fact, maybe if I get a little bit, let's see if this gives it
That looks amazing.
See the texture a bit more.
So how did you actually get started with jewellery making?
Well, I got a one-day course gifted to me as a birthday present.
Oh, wow.
I went along, and it was something I'd always wanted to try.
Yeah.
And I just had a whale of a time. And while I was there, I actually booked on the next course that was available. Yeah. And just came home, and I'd just sold a business. So I had money in the bank. I went, right, okay, spent a fortune on tools. I bought every book I could, watched every YouTube video, read everything, absorbed, and just carried on until I could do it. So
that's brilliant. Yeah, that's the way to go, isn't it? Just get stuck in. Fantastic.
Exactly, yeah. So would you like to have a go, Sean, and try making a pattern in the wire?
That'd be brilliant, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll just pop my iPad down first.
Good move.
Yeah.
And you want to hold your metal as close to there as you can and hammer nice and firmly and try and match your pattern up on the end.
Fantastic. So. All right, so I'm going to give this an exam. I'm going to get in here and I'm going to turn it around. Hopefully nice and firm. And is there how hard to be hitting it? Am I going quite with some
welly?
Quite,
yeah, give it some welly. You don't want to sort of send it flying, but yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And check out. And there you go.
Okay. I don't think it's quite as nice as this stuff here at the top. But
I've had a lot of practice though, yeah. So I think it's pretty good for a beginner.
You can pick that up, Andy. There's a pro and there's an amateur at the end there.
They look just as good.
Thank you very much. That's brilliant. All right. So would you normally with this then work your way all the way down?
Exactly. Yeah. You carry on all the way along until you've got a really nice length of wire, or however long you need. Sometimes if you're only making a ring, say, you might only need that length. Great, it'll take you a couple of whacks and you're away.
Brilliant.
So
I'll switch out on that back in here.
Right. So once we've got to that point, imagine this is our long length. Ta-da! Here's one I prepared earlier. So now we've done all the whacking. You know, I said annealing before. We need to soften the metal.
Yes.
Well, that hammering has hardened the metal again.
Right.
So we've got to anneal again.
So is this the blow torching again?
Yes,
then?
that's exactly it. And I'm just going to make it a little bit easier by coiling it up. And when you're annealing silver, it's hard to see under these lights, but you're looking for a sort of a soft red glow. But you can usually see how it's springy, and all of a sudden it starts to settle down.
Oh yeah, you can see the change of colour in it.
Yeah, like I say, these lights, it's quite hard. It's best to solder and anneal in a dark room, really, because you can see what's happening with the metal.
Just wanting to get out of that coil.
Exactly. That should do. And that's nice and soft again for us. So again, we need to quench it in our tiny little bowl that isn't big enough.
It's just about big enough.
There we go. And then if you want to sort of, I should have let you feel it before how stiff it was.
I'm looking at this now and going to myself, I'm going to have hit myself with a hammer. I'm going to have burnt myself. I'm going to. What's the most common injury?
Well, actually, I should probably do what I say and not what I do. I should probably tie my hair back before we do any more torching, because that isn't very good health and safety workshop thing. So I will do that right now. So thanks for reminding me about the danger.
No problem. I was just thinking to myself. I was like, I'm almost definitely going to hit myself with a hammer and possibly burn myself by forgetting to cool it or forgetting the tweezers.
The tweezers are the thing. Yeah, you soon learn after the first couple of burns. Ow. Yeah, hot metal. Usually it's glowing red, so you can... But yeah, anyway. So then we've got a nicely annealed piece. The next thing we need to do is make these rings. Okay. But you see these flattened ones that we've got as these links? This just helps it to sit flatter. But they're made in exactly the same way as these ones, and then they're shaped afterwards. So I would use a smaller one of these, and usually this in my workshop I've got like a handle that I can crank and turn it, but for ease of transportation,
we're going old school today.
I'll just hammer this and to get it into the hole. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a coil, because making one ring at a time is going to be incredibly time consuming, isn't it? So we're going to make a whole coil.
So you mentioned that you'd went to a workshop class to kind of get when you were getting started with it.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
I can't remember. It was probably about 12 years ago.
A while. So,
yeah, it's a long time.
So been going for a long time.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And so when you're coiling this round now, are we trying to get it as tight as possible?
As tight and as close.
Yeah.
Now, like I say, when you've got the handle, it's easier, but or I'd have it in a vise or something. Yeah. But yeah, you're just trying to keep it nice and tight and together. So you're making the same size coils. But again, in true Blue Peter fashion. That's one I prepared earlier. And you can see different textures on these that I've done if you want to look.
Oh yeah, some really nice ones. Oh, like daisies on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, the daisies, that's fantastic. I think that one's my favourite one. Yeah. Daisies, yeah. But they're all nice, and
they are, aren't they?
That's the process. So we are heating, then we are hammering and getting and then we are heating again, cooling, and then winding, and this is what we end up with at the end of it.
So from that point, we need to obviously separate them, because that's not much good as a thing, is it? So this is where the sawing comes into it, and this is where you can cut your fingers off as well as burning and hammering yourself. Okay?
You've got to really be paying attention. When I heard we were doing jewellery making, I thought we were going to be like getting a piece of string and putting a couple of beads on it. Yeah, that's what I signed up for. No,
well, that was how I started many moons ago. That was sort of the thing that got, and then I got into wire work, and the more sort of fascinated I became with the process, and I wanted to make different things. So then obviously that led me to, I need to be burning things.
I'll tell you what, let's just before we move on, I just realised we've not really looked too much at some of your stuff. Andy, could you get a shot of some of this stuff over here? There's some brilliant examples of some of the different artwork and jewellery that you've made. So we're making a bracelet today, but obviously you make all sorts of different
little sculptural things, and I love these little mushrooms on my,
my
worms.
I think this was the first work of yours that I'd seen when it went on. I was really kind of mesmerised with it, like the mushrooms growing, just the way you put it in situ in the log. I think looks really nice.
It's the sculptural side of thing that I found. I wish I'd brought more jewellery with me, because there's a lot of the jewellery that I make that is like little miniatures almost. I love making rings that are sort of miniature things. I've got a little like a ball of yarn with 2 knitting needles that come out.
Fantastic.
Put it on a ring.
Wow.
Things like that. So yeah, they're the things that I really love making.
I was going to say, is that your favourite? Is that your kind of go-to thing that you like to make, the sculpturally things?
Yeah, it's the artist side of me that wants to, rather than just the straight. I never really wanted to do fine jewellery, you know, with sort of setting diamonds and parve set and things. And it's something that I want to learn, and I want to, but I don't intend to carry on. I just want to know that information.
Get it logged up there. Use it when you never know, do you? Sometimes. And that's the thing when you create an artwork. The more skills you've got, so it may not be that you learn that, and it doesn't go into necessarily like a diamond ring, but
it might apply to something else.
A stone that goes into something else. Yeah, definitely. So brilliant. So we've chosen one of these to kind of go ahead with, and we'll go into do some sawing.
Let's use this one. Oh, unless you want me to use the daisy. Do you prefer the daisy? Is that what you want?
Do you know what it was? I renewed my wedding vow the other day, and we had daisies in the bouquet. So that was what reminded me.
Do you want us to use the daisies?
Let's use the daisies. Yeah, that's my. I was going to say that's everyone's favourite. It's just my favourite, but let's go with that.
Well, next we need to cut these into lengths. So the trick is to saw a nice straight line, and sawing down it will give us a really flush joint when we turn it into individual rings.
So we're going to try and do like one saw line straight down across all of it.
They'll come off one at a time.
Brilliant.
And the first thing we need is some lubrication on the saw blade.
And is that wax?
It is just beeswax. Natural beeswax. There's all sorts of fancy things. I'm going to put a little bit on here as well, which just helps. Some people do, some people don't. Some people put it up the front of the blade, but I don't like it because I find it clogs the teeth. So I always like to put it up the back of my blade.
That's a great point. I forgot to say, actually, for anyone watching, we're going to get Gail to take a look through all the comments on the videos and things like that. So if you've got any comments or questions, about jewellery making or the techniques that we're using here, or anything completely different to do with jewellery making that you'd like to ask Gail, get them in, send them through to us, and we'll make sure that we take a look at them, and Gail gets a chance to answer them for you. So get any questions and things you've got in the comment section on either YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching it, get them in, and we'll do our best to get them answered for you.
And if there's anything down the line, feel happy to pop me a message on my Instagram or Facebook. I'm more than happy to answer things as well. So as you can see, these are, that one's not quite sawed through. I'll put that one to one side because I want a perfect join.
I'm going to just take a quick look at these ones.
And these are basically little mini rings. This is, if you were making a ring, you wouldn't make a coil like this unless you were sort of mass producing things. But the next process of fitting the ends together and soldering it is exactly the same, whether it's that big.
Fantastic.
So.
We were chatting earlier. I actually went on a jewellery course myself to make my wedding ring, which was I found really fun.
We should show it because it's fantastic.
It's pretty boring, but it does the job. But
you've done a really nice job of it.
Definitely, but I had so much fun doing it. Similar to yourself when you were saying you went onto a course and really enjoyed it. I didn't go full hog. I'm going to now make this my career, but I definitely really enjoyed it, and I would and so I've been looking forward to doing this one. It's interesting seeing how different it is, different techniques and things like that.
Do you want to have a go of sewing? Let me get another couple because I know I need 9.
You need, get all the ones you definitely need done with you, and then I'll give it a go.
Yeah, you have a go and just follow that line that I've already. Down. You'll feel the blade go into that, and what you want to do is keep this really nice and tight up against the bench. Hold it really firmly, from underneath. And hold your saw. You want to imagine that the saw blade is like a little hamster. If it squeaks, you're squeezing it too hard. You want to do it nice and gently and let the saw do the work.
Whoa, you're right. There you go. First thing first. Not holding it close enough to it. And I'm kind of going through the second one at the moment. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I heard a little crack.
Yeah.
Does that mean that one's come off?
You'll feel it. That. Yeah, there you go. You're a natural. You can come again.
Yeah. This is a lovely little kind of bench and thing that you've got for doing this. Was this something?
Oh yes, this is something me and my dad made. It's fantastic. It's completely collapsible, portable. It means I can take it anywhere and work anywhere. It was something that we made in order to work at Norton Priory in the Walled Gardens, which was one of the nicest days making ever.
Oh, well, I was actually going to mention Norton Priory a second ago because you mentioned that you've used beeswax on this, and we've got Paul Quigley going to be doing one of our other maker showcases, and I believe he's going to be with us at MakeFest as well, and he does lots of things with bees and different stuff. So I
think that was actually Paul's wax.
Oh really? Well, be sure to tune in and we'll question him and see. Should I carry on doing all these? I feel like it's going to get.
You can if
I
you
feel
want
like
to.
It's going to get harder as I get.
It does. The last couple get tricky.
Yeah, I feel like I might do this last one and then call it quits.
And I'll show you how we put them together.
Yes. I think that one. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna call it quits. Well, I've got 2
Fair
left.
Enough. So at this point, we now need to solder these together. And in order to solder them together, we need to get the joins nice and flush. I'm going to need glasses now because I'm blind.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought they were safety glasses.
No, that's just because I'm blind. So we need 2, I don't know whether you can see these pliers, they've got brass lined noses, and that stops, and the flat and the parallel, which makes them really easy to grip, but it stops, the brass stops me damaging the silver too much, marking the metal too much.
And why is that? Is that a softer metal? Or?
Well, silver's quite a soft metal, but if I use steel against it, I'm at risk of putting dents in, and that's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to damage any more than is necessary. And we're looking for as neat a join as we can possibly get. Ideally, we don't want to see any light through it. I can see light through that, so it's not tight enough.
And so is it just a case of kind of like reconnecting them both and kind of trying to push them together a bit more?
Yes, you kind of have to go past
and bring them back.
And yeah. I don't know whether that's one you've sawed or one I've sawed, I'm not sure.
If it's good, it's one I did.
I like your optimism. Let's try this one. Yeah, it's just hard to see. With the studio lights, it's much different to...
They're looking good to me.
You just need a really, really flush join because solder won't connect things. It won't bridge a gap.
Yeah.
All it will do is flow between the 2 metals to join the 2 metals, but it won't bridge a gap. If that makes sense.
So you need them touching to be able to do it. Yeah, you need them
touching completely flush. So that's why it's worth spending a little bit of time at this point, making sure that joint. Sometimes it seems a bit fiddly, but it's better than just keep going back and melting.
So you were saying it's been about 12 years since you first started getting into it. What did you do before getting into jewellery making?
I actually had a butty van.
A butty van, fantastic.
Yeah. I sold bacon butties for a living.
Fantastic. And where did you? Was that around Halton way?
On Manor Park in Runcorn. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Gail's Baps.
Gail's
Probably
Baps.
the best Baps in the world. Yeah, it was great. I had a 5-star rating. I can't complain.
Oh, that's amazing.
And, I loved it. It was great. I liked, meeting the customers and whatnot.
Yeah,
everything was fun, amazing. But it didn't kind of meet the creative urges that because prior to that I'd done graphic design and fine art at college and whatnot, and then I'd gone on to do spatial design at university, and then ended up running a butty van. So none of it was relevant. And I always felt like there was something lacking in some way. And although I did a lot of creative things at home for pleasure, it was nice to find something that I thought, oh, you know, maybe I could make a career of this. And
that's brilliant. Yeah, no, I mean, we do a lot of workshops with young people and young adults, and quite often we're trying to talk to them about career paths and what they want to do next and how they want to do it. And you know, there's lots of ways you can go to university, you can do apprenticeships, you can just, you know, learn things yourself as well. There's many different ways into it, but one thing that we get is lots of creatives coming and talking to the young people, and just every time it's different. You know, everyone's journey is different to what they've ended up doing and stuff. So it's just really interesting hearing that background story of, you know, you went to university and then kind of came out of it and ended up doing something that wasn't quite fulfilling you, although it did sound like it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was fun, and it was a good business, but yeah, I think, what is it that they say? If you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. That's what it feels like now. I feel like every day's just fun.
Fantastic.
So, but it is lonely being in the workshop on your own, which is why I like when I'm out teaching classes or things. I like that, because you get to see people again, because you kind of forget that the world exists out there sometimes.
That's something we were talking about before. That's something that you're looking to do more of at the moment, isn't it? Get into running more classes and courses yourself. You can definitely sign me up. As you can tell, I need the tuition, and as I said,
you'd be more than welcome anytime.
They're doing it.
Yeah, well, I'm currently teaching a Tuesday evening class over at a lovely friend of mine who's got a jewellery school over in Warrington.
Oh, right, fantastic.
So I'm teaching her, and I've got another couple of courses coming up in Cumbria. But I've got now student kits for 8 students, so I'm going to be approaching a couple of venues locally to see if we can get some lessons going locally, because my workshop's not quite big enough for 8 students at the minute. I can take 2, but obviously I'd like to teach bigger classes, so I'm hoping that there's something in the pipeline for a bigger venue. So
I know that there's lots of developments going on in Halton at the moment, so hopefully soon we'll have something. But if somebody's interested in coming along and potentially contacting you about one of your classes or signing up, what's the best way of them contacting you about that?
Probably via my email, or they can go onto my website and just click the contact me link.
Fantastic. And what we'll do is we'll get we'll get a graphic up on screen that can show your email address and your website address now. So yeah, if you are interested in doing any of those classes, be sure to log into there or to get onto there and contact Gail. And yeah, get involved. Have a go yourself. Start your own jewellery business. 12 years time, you might be teaching you. So you mentioned that you became friends with the first person that taught you.
She's a lovely, lovely woman. She is.
Fantastic.
She's from Angela. She's from over in the Wirral, and I think she's just retired, which is a bit of a shame for those who want to learn jewellery, but good for her, because she's getting a nice break finally.
I'm sure you're more than ready to fill into those shoes though, and help pass on the skills to another generation.
Pass on what I know, and that's the thing. And hopefully, I'm always learning as I go as well, because I like to carry on doing courses and learning more, and I'm always reading and upgrading my skills. So hopefully, as I learn more, I can pass on more, that's
a big thing for me. Like you never stop learning, do you? Yeah. There's always something new you can do,
especially if it's something that you love.
Have we got our finished links here now?
I think so. And I'm going to show you old school solder.
Okay.
But then we're going to cheat a bit and use some paste solder, because it's quick and easy.
Brilliant, yeah.
So for things like this, I wouldn't recommend it for bigger jobs when I'm making things like that big necklace over there. That's got to be old school solder. We don't. But for things like jump rings or little repairs and things, this stuff's great. So let me just get them all. So when you're soldering, ideally you want to use the smallest amount of solder possible, because you don't want to have lots of clean up, you don't want to have lumps, you don't want it to be spread in. If you've got patterns like this, you don't want that to be flooded with the solder. So,
I mean, pardon my ignorance, but whenever I think of solder, I go back to kind of like GCSE science.
Soldering irons and things like that. Soft solder, that's something completely different.
Right.
This technically is brazing, so it's more like that, but we call it soldering.
Yeah.
And here's some strips of solder I've got here. Could probably do with a clean. Let's ignore that fact. And ideally, solder flows best when your metal is nice and clean and your solder is nice and clean. So we want to cut the smallest pieces we can, and I'll do it into this dish first of all. This is borax. This is a borax cone, and this is what we need to use as a flux, which helps the solder to flow.
Right, okay, I'm taking it in, I'm learning.
The first thing we do is grind this cone until we get sort of almost like a single cream consistency.
Oh. And so take it that over time then you'll need to get new cones and things like that?
Yeah. In fact, this has been a bone of contention among jewellery makers lately, because the guy who made these original cones, this is one of the original ones, which is the best thing you can get. He actually retired, but nobody at the time wanted to learn the process of it, so he had nobody to pass that knowledge on to. So the cones that we get now are just completely inferior quality. It's a shame.
So you'd be trying to you'd be using the last little nub of that.
I've got a tiny little bit off the end that I still sort of think, but it was the last one. Yeah, so it's like gold dust. This is probably worth more than the silver on this bench now.
So is there anyone coming? Has that skill still not been passed on? Then we've not got it all?
No, I mean they do make cones, but the sort of they disintegrate really, and then they're just not as nice. They're just not as nice. He was a master.
Yeah. It's this type of thing that you just would never know unless you're inside that world. Yeah.
And I think people dismissed it as, why would we want to learn to do that?
Yeah.
What a shame. It's another sort of thing that we've lost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think, unfortunately, with technology the way it is, we lose a lot of trades like this. And I think this is why I like doing things like this, because it's traditional techniques. Yeah. It's using old tools, you know, there's no fancy, I mean, I can buy fancy tools. I've got a lot of fancy tools, but I don't need them. Yeah. You know, you can make jewellery with a really basic kit. So we're going to pop a little bit of solder on one joint here. Flux, sorry. And we need to make sure that our solder is fluxed as well to make it flow. So we cut the smallest piece possible.
So it's really, really tiny
piece,
maybe
piece.
Like a millimetre, something like that, I'd say. You get that handy there.
Yeah. And I tend to put it on with my flux brush to make sure that that is fluxed. Can you see it?
Yeah. I think we can just about get it, so.
And then we're going to pop it onto our joint. Right, so the next thing. Can you see inside?
Yeah, we've got it.
So the next thing we need to do, and I'm going to use my smaller torch.
I was going to say we've got a different torch here. Is that just so it can be more precise?
It's just smaller. It doesn't need as much heat. It's not thingy. I'm going to slowly approach it and let the flux dry, because the flux sort of bubbles up as it goes, as it dries out. And what I'm looking for with the flux is I want it to turn, it goes like a brown, glassy kind of colour, and that is the point when the solder's going to flow. So it's just starting to go now, so it shouldn't be long and the solder will flow. There we go. And as soon as the solder's flowed, you want to take it away. And then
cooling it off.
Yeah.
I do love that sound.
I know, it's a lovely sound, isn't it? And then hopefully, now the way to test this, you know how I said we were going to shape these links? Let's make sure I've done a good solder joint, because it's not always. This could be another, can we cut this bit point? Yeah. But we want some of these, and I want to make sure my solder joint's on the side. And we just literally
that's interesting.
Stretch it.
In my head, I thought we were going to like squash it, almost like rather than stretching it. So
just literally stretch it, and all of a sudden we've got this oval. We can, if we want it, really neat and whatnot, we can go back in with these pliers that aren't going to, and we can make it a nice. But then you've got this oval shape instead of the round.
And that's what we're looking for, that oval shape for connecting up the jewellery. Yeah. Fantastic.
So we'll carry on and do this now with the things. Do you want to try soldering one?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah. So I need to. We've already got the white creamy.
The flux is already mixed up.
Need to mix it. So
your joint is here at this point. Can you see? Can you see where that joint is?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So you want the tiniest bit of that.
Should I put the flux onto here first?
You put the flux onto the gap first, and then cut your tiniest bit. And
And do you, when you're doing a jewellery making, do you tend to do, like, say, you get to this point and you go, well, actually, I've got tons of these to do, and kind of do a backlog on them? Or do you just tend to do them for each piece at a time?
I tend to do a batch of things. Like, that's why I find coils like this wound up, because it's pointless me making just what I need, unless I'm only making one of something, because most of my pieces are one-off pieces.
Yes. Yeah.
I do make some things on my website, you know, like the stacking rings and things, which are obviously repeats. And I make some stacking rings for a lovely lady who makes breast milk jewellery. Wow. So, because, well, she makes all sorts of DNA jewellery, but specialises in breast milk.
I think it's just falling down towards the bottom. Is that okay, or should it be towards the top?
No, it's fine. As long as it's touching the two, it has to touch both sides. That's absolutely fine.
I'm going to try and push it over a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So, blowtorch?
Yeah.
Blowtorch. Is that the right terminology? Blowtorch?
Yes,
yeah.
Oh,
fantastic.
It's a torch, yeah.
Just and I'm turning it this way?
Turn it to your left and then press the button. That's it.
And you kept it quite a distance.
Yeah, quite a distance, because you don't want this flux to bubble up and push your solder back off.
Yes.
You'll see it, and then it kind of sinks down. And then you're looking for that sort of dark brown, glassy look, and then you know that that's when the solder's about to flow. So
we're using silver today to do these ones.
Yeah.
Is it the same? I know we talked about the different, but if we were using this this type of solder, would it be the same if it was in brass and bronze and things like that, or do you use slightly different solder for different metals?
To be honest, I would probably use silver solder for brass and copper. You can buy brass solders and copper solders, and you don't need flux in the same way. They have it sort of built in. But the colour match is never perfect, and if you do a really nice joint with your silver solder, has it flowed? It should have flowed.
I doubt, I guess.
You should see like a silver flash.
A silver flash?
Yeah, it looks like it's flowed.
It looks like it's flowed, I think it does, yeah.
We'll do a test, we'll see. See what your soldering skills stand up to.
Oh yeah, I've never done soldering like this before. Done as I say, like kind of like electronics soldering, but never.
So you're going to try it with these pliers, and you want to make sure that your joint is on the side. And so turn them the other way around. You don't want your joint on the end like that.
Oh, I see.
And then pull them apart.
So we are on the. And then,
you have to give it a little bit of welly.
Good, put a little bit further on.
Yeah. And then I would turn it round and do it again. Look at that, you've done a good joint.
There you go. You're sorted.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So now we've just got to make another 7.
Another 7?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Where should I pop this one?
Where did we put the other one? See, we've lost. No, there.
There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. We'll keep that there. I'll let you go back to it, otherwise we'll be here forever with
I'll
me.
show. In fact, today I think is the 9 on the thing, so I might need to get another one together. So we'll just put another. In fact, this is easier standing up. The light's a bit better to see.
Do you have a preferred metal to work with, or do you just like to mix it up? What's your?
I actually love working in copper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite metals. I think there's something about it. One, because it's cheaper, so there's that like freedom of you're not worrying about it being a costly mistake if you do something wrong.
Yeah.
But it's so soft and like buttery to work with. It's just a really nice metal to work with. Some people don't like it because it's quite a dirty metal. As you heat it, it gets a lot of oxidisation on it. But that leaves you with some amazing patinas like this. That is just natural oxidisation of copper. I mean,
it looks beautiful.
It's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like an oil slick.
So would copper be quite a nice place for someone to start?
Definitely.
Then? A little bit cheaper, you're not going to have...
Yeah, copper and brass are great, because, I mean, brass looks like gold, but it costs, you know, well, the way metal prices are going, it's slightly more at the minute, but it's, you know, it's not an expensive metal by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, I would recommend always starting in copper until you are confident using a torch and a saw and whatnot. So I'll just get all my joints facing the same way.
do them all.
Yeah, do them all in one go. And I'll show you with a paste solder because this is a game changer.
If somebody is if somebody's watching this video and they're kind of like, do you know what, I'm loving the look of this, I really want to get started.
Yeah.
Obviously, first things first, come to one of your classes,
yes.
get in contact. But do you have any other advice for anyone that's looking to get started in it or wanting to give it a go? Because obviously we've got loads and loads and loads of tools here and things like that to help us do it.
You don't need a huge amount of tools though to start. You really don't. I mean, you see craftsmen out in India and they're literally squatting at a stump with an old hammer and a couple of nails, and as long as you've got a saw, a hammer and some pliers and a torch, you can kind of do pretty much anything.
That's it. So we're going saw, pliers,
essential tools, hammer, saw, pliers, and something to solder with.
Torch. Yeah. Fantastic.
And then you just build your kit up, and there are lots of affordable pieces of. I mean, there is some workshop equipment that I would say don't buy cheap.
Yeah.
Things like rolling mills and things like that, I would say do not buy cheap because they're just not going to last you. Always try and buy the best tools you can afford if possible. But if you're just starting out and you don't know whether you want to carry on doing this, where's that joint? Yeah, if you don't know whether you want to carry on doing this, then there's no point spending an absolute fortune. Some of my favourite hammers were bought from, you know, like old bike fairs and things. My dad's into his classic bikes.
Yeah.
So I used to go with him and just buy like the junk stuff.
Yeah. What's so this is a different type of solder now, isn't it, that we're using? What
this
type
is
of
paste
what's
solder.
This one called? Paste solder.
And this has the flux built into it.
Oh, okay.
So this makes life a lot easier.
One less job. One less job.
When you're working on small things, like I say, it's...
Like you said, you were saying earlier that for things like this, absolutely perfect. Probably not as good for bigger things. But
it's probably not quite as strong a joint as your normal metal solder, but if your joint's clean and together, it should work perfectly fine for this. Great for sort of little jobbing repairs and things like that. And
I'm loving the colour they go.
I know.
It's like that really warm, kind of like glowing red.
Yeah. That's the point though where you really need some decent torch control, because when it's at that red point, it's like a hair's breadth away from melting.
Yes. So you want it, you want it to keep it there, but I mean, I'd imagine over the 12 years there's been plenty of things where you've gone just too far, or
I
just
still have days. Everybody does, you know. I mean, I think even master jewelers must have days where they go, oh,
one of those days,
yeah. Now, where do we want to? I want to quench them all first of all.
Yeah.
And then we'll make them all oval. And then we need to basically repeat the process with some plain wire to make the larger links. And I don't like to add too many patterns. I tend to like to have a pattern against a plain because I feel like you don't see it.
It's like when you get, it's similar with fashion, isn't it? You tend to you don't do passion top and bottom.
Exactly.
You gotta go plain one.
Or you don't want like pattern carpet and pattern curtains clashing. It's like, no.
Style advice as well.
We're not in the 70s anymore.
it can, So I think that, how has that been for you? Do you feel like over the time you've kind of started developing your own kind of like artistic style?
Well, this is a real bone of contention with me, because I can't see my personal style. Other people say they can see it, but I don't know whether I can. Maybe
you're like too far in the woods. Kind of like can't see the wood for the trees because you're so busy doing it that
I know, and it's kind of tricky, but I'm also, because I think I am a little bit ADHD and I love to make all things, I get bored I don't want to make the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm always making something different, which I think affects my style.
So what's your favourite type of jewellery to make?
Rings.
Rings.
I love making rings. I don't know what it is, but I just love making rings. I think it's the one piece of jewellery that I wear all the time. I don't always wear a necklace. I don't always wear earrings, but I always have rings on. And I think most people are the same.
Yeah. And how does that work for you with rings? Do you kind of come up with an idea for them and then go, do you know what, I think I've got an, and like I've found like really difficult with rings, obviously sizing, because everyone's got different size fingers and things like that. Is it something where you make them and then sell them? Are they mainly for yourself, or how does that work with you with rings?
Well, when I started, they were all for me. It's quite often I'll make them with the intention to sell them, but then they're for me. It depends. But I find that I kind of make rings to order, obviously, because, like you say, everybody's sizes are different. Or I'll make something that can be resized, so I'll make it that will fit me. So I can think, okay, but if somebody wants to buy it, I can resize it and do it for them. But yeah, there's a formula to it, so you have to know the person's ring size in order to be able to. These people that say, you know, oh, it's a small, it's a medium, and there's no such thing as a small, medium, and large ring size. Yeah. So
I remember when I getting engagement rings and things like that, just trying to like, how do you try and find someone's ring size?
It's tricky. And unfortunately as well, not all ring sizes are the same, which makes it even more complicated. So, like, you kind of have to have your ring sizes and your ring manual that you know are those sizes. And if I send out to a customer, I've got ones that are almost like zip ties with the sizes on, but I know that they exactly match my manual. So I know that if they send that to me.
That's a good idea,
Otherwise it can be a bit tricky.
So we've done our links. Now we're going to go for our bigger loops now that are connecting our links together. And I can see that we've got our trusty spinny majig.
Yes, the spinny majig, that's the technical term. That is the technical term.
What are we calling these in a jeweller's language?
What would I call? Oh, this is a jump ring maker. These things are called jump rings. And a jump ring is something that is used to connect something else. So if you've got a necklace that you're connecting to a pendant or something, jump rings are what you do. And with this, I haven't annealed this metal because when I buy it fully annealed. So that's kind of saved me a step.
Saved you a step.
Exactly. Yeah, if I was hammering it into that, I probably would anneal it just to make sure it's super soft. And
I'm learning because once we've hammered it, it's hardened.
Exactly.
So then we need to
it's the same with twisting. Any kind of manipulation of the metal will work harden it. So.
But we don't need to do that before we solder it, do we? Again, because we're only going to be pulling it down a little bit.
Exactly, and the soldering will anneal it in itself if you were going to do anything.
Yeah, of course, because we're kind of heating it up again. Yeah. And again, when we're going through this technique here, we're keeping it as close as we can to each other because we're going to take, I'm guessing again, we're going to take the saw to it, and so we want to make sure that it's a nice and easy connection between the two of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be plenty for that, so let's take this off here. So I'll cut it off. These are good little cutters. These are called flush cutters. And you see how there's one side is sort of a wedge shape and one side is completely flat. And it gives you a really nice flat, clean sort of edge to you. So, yeah, exactly the same process again. We're just going to cut down. Do you want to do some more sawing?
Go on then. I feel like I've got this. I know
you're a pro now, aren't you?
So,
yeah. Can you remember what we did before we did the sawing, though?
No.
What is the essential part?
Oh, the beeswax, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I would rub it up the back of the blade and rub a little bit down. And you see where we've got these two ends on your thing? If you cut sort of straight down the middle, you're going to get the most rings out. If you cut to one edge, you're going to lose that and lose that one because you can't make a nice join. So if you cut between them,
So how long? I mean, this piece of wax looks like it's it's been on a few projects. Yeah. How long would something like this last you
donkeys?
For?
And it doesn't have to be beeswax. You can use just a simple household candle.
A candle, yeah.
But I like to use natural things where possible. I like to try and keep things as eco as possible. Unfortunately, there are some nasty chemicals in jewellery making, but we try and minimise it.
So for this first one, I'm cutting here. I'm going to cut off a little bit of this. Is that,
yes, that's perfectly fine. But you want to sort of make it so you get the maximum amount of rings.
Ooh, and I've scratched it.
That's the tricky part, isn't it? Starting off.
Yeah. And did you say you don't put any on the front? Because I've not put any on the front of this saw. Is that right?
No, because I find that it clogs the teeth a little bit, and it just doesn't cut quite as well.
Here we go. I think I've got a worm there.
And remember, it's nice and slow and gentle, like you don't kill the hamster.
Any squeaking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. It's so hard because you're kind of concentrating on your right hand, and then suddenly your left hand pops out. And this piece of wood that's clamped on here, is that I can see we've got a few saw blades already.
Yes, this is called your bench peg.
The bench peg.
And that's exactly, it's just used to sort of lean against. It's another tool. It's like an extension of your hands. It gives you that extra bit of grip, you know that. And
this will eventually kind of get replaced, I'm guessing, as you get too many saw marks into it.
They sort of wear backwards like that. When you're hitting this, then you know, okay, I need to get another bit of wood. But as you can see, there's lots of drill holes and marks and things, and they're all useful if I'm filing things or if I want to lie something in it.
I bet it's devastating when you get that fresh one on. You're like,
I know, it's like, oh, I've got to wear it in.
Yeah, I really need like a good pair of boots or something like that.
Exactly. In fact, I've got all the student kits. I've got to cut the V's into all of their new bench pegs. So that's going to be a weekend job.
So that's exciting, though. Now you've got the ability to do up to 8 students at a time.
Yes, up to 8,
because it's whenever you're doing a class or anything like that, it's always nice, you know, to get that vibe of the other people that are in there as well, and things like that. So having 8 will be fantastic.
Yeah, it's great fun, and they all sort of get ideas from each other, don't they? So you might have a project, but it doesn't matter if you're making a pair of earrings. Every single person will make them slightly differently. They'll come up with their own ideas. So
I remember when I was doing the wedding ring class. I'm going to tag you in here and let you finish this nice way out. But there was a couple there where the husband was making it for the wife and the wife was making it for the husband, and I was like, I'm not that brave.
No,
I've not got that. I'm not that brave.
You know how you want yours.
I can make one that I have to wear. But I don't want the pressure of making something that someone else has to wear for the rest of the life. But it was great fun in that, you know, having that conversations, you know, with them and seeing the different techniques, and they were all, like you said, completely different. You know, the different styles that people are into and things like that. I've got to say though, I'm pretty impressed with that. I think I'm all right with the sawing. That's my
I think you are.
my go-to move. Not so much with the solder, but sawing, I reckon.
I think you nailed your solder joint as well. That was perfectly fine. You've just got to be really watching to see when the solder flows. Like I say, it's hard. Oh, have we broken the saw blade? It's hard under these lights to get it. You kind of need that darkness in order to be able to see the temperature of the thing and watch that. But it's a flash. You see this flash. It's nice to watch.
While you're doing that, are you working on anything exciting at the moment? Have you got any kind of projects on the go, or anything? Is it top secret, or what? How does that work with you?
Yeah, I've got a few things on the go at the minute. I've got a couple of commissions. I've been making some little bottles lately. I've just sold one of those that needs to be posted off.
Bottles?
Yes, little bottles with silver bottle caps.
Oh, really?
They're actually on my Instagram if anybody wants to have a look and see. I intend to make more. I got a batch of ones that will fit essential oil in, and a batch of ones that would just hold like little keepsakes, you know, if people wanted shells or sand from where they'd been on the honeymoon or things like that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So
it's interesting, because I wouldn't think of stuff like that. I would be like, I kind of got my head in like necklaces and rings and things like that, but
no, I like to think outside the box.
Fantastic, That's really good. So we're re-waxing.
Re-waxing, nice fresh blade. Yeah, these blades are so tiny. They snap really easily, and if you catch them in a piece of wire, that's it, they're gone.
Okay, we've got a few there. Are the blades relatively cheap for the saw, or
you can buy really cheap blades, but I don't recommend buying really cheap blades. I mean, they're still cheap-ish, but I tend to use slightly finer blades than I probably should as well, because I like the cut that it gives me. But it doesn't matter at this point. We've got our 9 there, and we've got a spare. Good quality blades. Just they last more usually, but things happen, don't they? worse things happen at sea.
So we're going to use the kind of the one that's got the pre-mix in it to solder these ones together. Yeah,
just for speed, it makes it much easier.
Yeah. We've done the history. Exactly. We know the old way of doing it.
But this is exactly the same principle as we did with the little ones. But as we're joining these together, we need to feed these ones onto them. Of course. Because otherwise our chain isn't going to be a chain, it's just going to be lots of rings.
I was thinking that as we were soldering them, and then thought, oh, well, we must do it. But I had completely forgotten, if I was running this, we'd just end up with lots of really tiny rings.
Rings for mice.
Yeah, no rings.
And you kind of do this in batches as well.
And do you know what, as well, I would have been definitely just putting one on that first one then, not thinking as well. Yeah,
would you?
Yeah, I'd have just put one, and then the next one I'll put one in, not thinking. Yeah, we've got to.
Yeah, no, we can do this. I'm just going to bash this down a little bit because I think that was the last joint, bringing that joint in nice and flush.
That's it.
And this hammer's a great hammer to use. Nylon mallet, because this doesn't mar the metal in any way, so you're not putting any.
Nylon mallet.
Yes, yeah. They're really good. I think those ones are actually designed for window fitters, but the jewellery, because we used to use rawhide mallets in a traditional jewellery making. They're almost like big dog chews on the end of a stick.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. But the jewellery makers have started using these now, and I've got to say, they're much better.
Good. Very good.
Yeah. You can get a good bit of welly. So yeah, it's the same process. And what we're trying to do as we're putting them on is we're trying to keep all our solder joins to the same side because you can't really turn them round afterwards. So this join, put the joins at the front.
So how do we? I'm confused. So how are we going to connect these all together then? So we've got all these two going in. This is definitely not the way that I would have.
Isn't it?
My brain is not. It doesn't compute this way of doing it.
First of all, we get these soldered.
Yeah.
And then we use the links that are left.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm thinking in my head we're doing them all like that, and I was like, I can't compute how.
No, we're not doing them all like that.
Yeah.
We've got 9 of these little ones. So
we do. Do we do 4 like that and 5 without, or do we do it which way around? Do we do 5 with and 4 without?
It doesn't really matter.
Right.
I just do that. You can do them individually if you want. It's just, for me, this technique works. It's speedy. Yeah. So I tend to just do that. I'll put this one on as well. Why not?
Fantastic. So you mentioned earlier that you have been doing some work with Norton Priory, and we'd mentioned Paul's with the beeswax.
Yeah.
What project were you working on at Norton Priory?
Well, that was with Luke Jerram's when they had the moon. Yes. That was what inspired this collection that's here, and there's some more over in the cabinet further down there. And yeah, I called it the Lunar Collection.
Lunar Collection.
Yeah. I was just absolutely fascinated. But it was really nice to meet people because I was working on it while I was actually sitting in the walled gardens, and what a beautiful place to work.
Yeah. So were you inspired by was it focusing on kind of like the moon when it was there, or was it things from the walled garden, or a bit of combination of both?
I sort of did a bit of both, because that was part of the where the mushrooms and things were. I was working on mushrooms one day and the moon the next day. I was there for 2 days. And it was just nice to talk to people and be inspired by all the beautiful wildlife. And
so were you working outside quite a lot while you were there?
Yes, Well, I was in the shelter in the walled gardens, under the bit where they were filming what are they called? Is it the Irregulars?
Yes, it was on TV, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there was
the Sherlock
Netflix
Holmes spin-off thing, I realised I was actually sitting right where the dead body was. I was like, okay.
Spoilers.
If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah.
It's funny as well, because I remember watching that show originally and not realising that it was at Norton Priory and thinking, I'd love a room like that. And then sort of realising where it was and go, oh, fantastic, it's on my doorstep.
Yes, it's a really, if you've not been, we've actually just plugged for something we've done. We've just installed a piece of artwork at the at the entrance of Norton Priory.
Oh, fantastic!
On the windows up on the gallery around Anti-Loan Shark. So if anyone wants to check out the wall gardens and be inspired by the mushrooms, take a look at the museum as well, and you'll see a giant piece of pixel art that we've installed in the windows there.
Oh, I'll have to go and have a look. Yeah.
It's been lots of fun.
Yeah, I think is the wall garden back open again? Mother's Day, I think, is it?
I think so. Yeah. We'll search Norton Priory website to find out. Yeah, I'm sure. But they were open the other day when we were there. So I believe they should be. Yeah. Because obviously they got affected with all the winds, the high winds that we've been having, and trees coming down and things like that. So
I'm amazed I've still got a polytunnel. I thought it was going to blow away, but I was lucky enough. Right, I've got two joins that haven't gone particularly nicely there, so
okay,
we can have a look. You see, there's always things that go wrong. It's never, no matter how many years you're doing it. See, it's just
a little bit too far apart, is it? Yeah.
It's just come away slightly as we've been
hitting
it. Yeah. So it's simple fix. I'll just, once I've fitted another saw blade, saw through that again, do exactly the same process, put it together and solder it. In the meantime, if you would like to...
Oh yeah, go on, I'll have a go. So I'm using the pliers to push these together?
Yeah, so you want to add that link to that link.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm forgetting. So we've got a couple that are ready to go.
And that link to that link, like that. So I'll saw through these. I'll get a blade in here while you're doing that.
Lovely. So, just to kind of, because obviously we can see with these now that we were talking about oxidization on some of the other metals and stuff. So silver, we're thinking that did this, because we can see quite clearly that it's not very shiny, silvery looking at the moment. This will just kind of clean up when you're doing it and things like that.
What we're going to do is we're going to put it in some. There's a chemical that we use called Pickle, and I'll show you. But at the minute, I don't bother. Some people pickle all the way through each step, but I think it's a bit of a waste of time. You might as well
get it all looking nice
done
at the end.
And then do it. Yeah.
See if I can.
So, but it used to be sulfuric acid that they used, but luckily now we've got things like sodium bisulfate that they use now, which is a safety pickle, so much better for the environment, less hazardous. I was going to say, and much better for your fingers.
I had no idea how hazardous jewellery making was.
Oh, there's a lot of hazardous materials, but like I say, it's becoming much more eco-friendly. There's a lot more recycled silvers and things being used. I try and use recycled silver as much as possible.
Does this look okay, or am I a little bit far apart there with that?
Yeah, the best way to do it is to look at the light, and if you can see light through the gap, it needs to be tighter.
I can see light through the gap. And how will I go? I tried to put it in this way, but it's just a bit too big.
Yeah, you can't do that. What you have to do is you have to take both your pliers and you kind of push it past each other. You do it. You almost twist it from side to side.
I remember now. That's it. I should have known that. I remember you saying from the first one. So we twist it past, and then kind of bring it together.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, these lights are useful sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's much better. Lovely.
Brilliant, that's what we want.
I've got another one to do here as well. Yeah. So I'll get this one into it as well.
And this just...
That's really brilliant. So, you are going to be joining us actually at our MakeFest event as well, aren't you?
I am, yes, yeah.
So if you are at home thinking to yourself, I'd love to see this collection close up, or I would love to ask Gail some things about it, and
pop along and
maybe see a demonstration, then
I think I'll show people how to make some ear wires and things like that, things that they use every day that they don't necessarily know how to make.
Fantastic. So, if you'd like to come down to MakeFest, it's I'm sure you know by now, but it's our free family event that we are going to be running here at Culture HQ at Shopping City. It's going to be on the 26th of March, and we're going to be here 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. So yeah, be sure to pop down. I'll show you a little bit later how you can get tickets for it and things like that, but be sure to pop down and see us. You can see Gail, and I think we've got about 20 makers this year so far as well. So there's going to be loads of other people with lots of different skill sets. You might even see me pottering around. I don't think I'm doing any of the actual workshops this year. I think I'm just pottering around, so feel free to say hello to me as well.
That's great. You get the bird's eye view of everything then.
That's my favourite thing about it, to be honest with you. I think it's amazing to come and see everyone else and what they're doing and things like that. So yeah.
Well, I loved the first one that I came to when it was in the library.
Yes.
I loved that. There was so much going on, and I brought the kids along, and there was just so much to do, and they were making bath bombs and cupcakes and all sorts of things. But building. Were you building a drone or something like that, or programming drones?
Yeah, we were programming drones. Yeah, that was MakeFest 2000.
Yes.
And was that 2019? I'm trying to remember.
I think it might have been.
I'm trying to do the dates in my head.
2019 or 2020.
It might be 2020. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, we were online last year. We were online doing the videos last year. And the year before we managed to do it live, and so this year we had such a good time doing the videos last year that we thought we don't want to completely lose that, and hence we are here doing these mega showcases. But it's really nice to be able to go back to. We can't wait to see people again and do it live and stuff and get involved in it. Yeah, so
especially with everything that's been going on, it's nice to actually see people in the flesh again, isn't it?
Definitely. It's still I still can't get around it in my head, because when we did it, it was in February in 2020, and then we were only a month away from lockdown and things like that. So it really was like kind of just before it all kicked off last time, and so it's really nice to kind of a couple of years on to be able to come back and do it again. And so yeah, it'd be great to see you all there, and and you to get creative and do jewellery making. And I'm trying to think of some of the things that I know that we've got on. I know that we've got some tech stuff going on and lots of artists there, and so
don't spoil the surprise too much.
Yeah. You'll be inundated with it, to be honest with you. If you're watching this, you'll have a million adverts before the event telling you what's going to be going on.
Fantastic.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yeah,
I think they're pretty good joints. I think you've done a great job. So we want to solder these. Shall I attach the rest of these first, and we'll get it to? We might as well solder them all in one big go, mightn't we? So, but you can see it coming together now, can't you? We've started off with those little coil of rings, and all of a sudden it's starting to look more like a chain.
It's interesting. You can see, you can really see the kind of ones that have been soldered, and the ones that haven't, different in colour. Yeah.
But you'll see when we pop it in the pickle. I brought some hot water with me. I'm hoping it's still hot in my flask, because the pickle works much quicker when it's warm. It will work cold, but it will take time. Okay, that's one. I'll quench it, just so we don't pick it up, because I've done that a few times. I've got the scars to prove it. Yeah. Sometimes, actually, as well, you put things in the quenching, and if you don't hear that, it hasn't actually quenched. So you think it has, and then you're trying to... Oh, yeah, that's caused a few sneaky burns. I was doing some crafting the other day. I was putting some photos and different bits and bobs onto like a stand, and I'd gone, oh, no, sorry, that wasn't what I was doing. I was making paper roses, and I was using a hot glue gun, and I'd managed to make about... I think I managed to make about 90 of them, and then on the last one or the last couple, just when your brain gets a little bit tired from doing the same thing, managed to glue my finger, and so hot glue guns hurt.
Yeah. I don't remember them hurting that much for being in school. I must have been smarter in school and not burnt myself.
Did they let you use hot glue guns in school? Our school never let us. Health and safety.
No, I think so. Yeah.
We were allowed PVA, and that was about it.
You get on Bunsen burners and everything these days.
Yeah, that was the good bit, when you could get the iron filings in the Bunsen burner and make the sparks. Yeah. I don't think they even let the kids use Bunsen burners in school these days, do they?
I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Can you
still use Bunsen burners?
Yeah.
Is there any fun left in school? Are you still allowed to play conkers?
Safety glasses for conkers. Oh, I remember when I was playing conkers. I'd love conkers. I would do it. I'd try and do all the tricks as well. I'd try and soak it in vinegar. That didn't work.
No.
Just made them soft.
I tried the nail varnish.
Nail varnish them. Really clear that you've nail varnished them. You don't know, yeah.
You can buy matte nail varnish now, though, can't you?
Yeah. It's stepped up. The game stepped up since I was there. Yeah. Oven cooked them. That made them too hard, so that they just fell apart.
Shattered then, didn't they?
Let us know your conquer techniques as well.
Yes, please.
I might go out on we've got a while, to be fair, I think, till Conquers. It's October time.
You can't beat a bit of conquer picking, though, can you? Great way to spend the afternoon. Yeah. The kids are all grown up now. My youngest 16. And I'm still going, do you want to go conquer picking, kids? Come on, it's all for me, because I'm the big child in our house. Right, so look, we've got a chain. Ta-da!
Superb.
So, it's not bad,
again,
is it?
It's quite nice. For there's part of me, like, I know that we're going to use the chemicals now to make this back to the kind of silvery colour.
Yeah.
But there is something quite nice about the oxidization.
It feels kind of ancient, doesn't it? And there's a lot of times that we use that technique. I'm trying to think, I haven't got anything that's oxidized on, but we will make pieces. Oh, well, there we go, like that collection where you will oxidize bits and then you'll polish off the top so it leaves the dark in the crevices. But we use a chemical to do it rather than using the actual flame oxidization. So, right, so we're going to make our clasp now. And we're going to need approximately 1.5 inches, I think. So, I say approximately. I'm not too fussed on being perfect. And the first thing we want to do is file our ends. And this is another bit where you see the little grooves and holes and things in the bench.
I thought you said find the end then. I was like, I can do that.
There's one there and there's one there.
Yeah, I can find the end, File the end, lovely.
We want a nice flat edge on one end. Because this one's going to be twisted round against the other. And then the other end, we want to make it flat first. But then we want to kind of round it off a little bit and smooth it out.
Okay. Why the different styles of ends?
Well, we don't want anything with jewellery making. You don't want anything sharp or anything, catching on your clothes or rubbing. So anywhere, this bit is going to be soldered to the other bit, so that we want nice and
flat, so it can be soldered. And the other end is going to be visible.
This bit is going to be the hook, so
right.
we don't want it catching or snagging. So it's roughly round, and I'm going to use my handy little gadget. Now, at home, I've got a pendant motor, which is brilliant. But I found these fantastic things. Plug for Lidl. Yeah. They were an absolute bargain, and it fits my hand pieces, which is absolutely brilliant. And it makes them, obviously, the portable then, so I can...
And it's like it spins them round, I'm assuming? Yeah. So
it's like a little motor.
Lovely.
And it just means I can smooth off the end. This is just a sanding roll.
So you kind of use the file to get the main shape, and then you sand them down.
Yeah, just make it nice and smooth, and also if I change the end out, it means I can polish things with it and stuff like that. If I was at home when I was polishing a chain, I probably wouldn't polish it with thing. I would put it in my tumbler. I've got a tumbling machine that has a lot of tiny fine steel shots that just goes round and round, and you put it in with a compound and it polishes your metal and work hardens it really nicely. It's lovely. But obviously I can't transport everything.
No. Do you have a favourite tool? Is there one that you go, I know I shouldn't have favourites, but this is my favourite tool?
It's really hard to decide, because I'd go, this, no, this.
Yeah.
No. That's one of my favourite. That Green Lion saw. Yeah. Those saws are quite. I think it's about £70 for a saw. It's unnecessary. I mean, you can buy a decent jeweller's saw for about 15 quid. It's fine, but it's like, that's my baby.
Sometimes my favourite tools are my cheapest ones. I've just got a real affection for something that this just keeps going on. It feels like it should have broken by now, but it keeps going on. Yeah, so. It's funny, isn't it, how you put that stuff to things.
So we're making a hook here, and we're going to just make a loop and turn this bit back on itself, and you want it to be touching that.
Sure. So that's a flat edge, that one there. So
that's the bit that we want to
loop that
solder.
touches onto itself.
So have we got a nice little, not quite touching. This is where these pliers come in.
Squeeze it together because it's a little bit smaller. We can get round it.
Yeah. Just make it. Yeah, that's better. So there's no light. I can kind of. So we've got that nice and tight, and now we're going to form the loop.
Oh, we got some fancy pliers, fancy different pliers.
These are called bail making pliers.
Bail making pliers.
Bail making pliers, yeah. But they're just good for. You see how they're not like these ones have like tapered, and these ones aren't. It means you can get a consistent
loop. Yes, yeah, as you're going around it. Yeah.
And they come in different sizes and whatnot. And this is good because it's got the nylon there. It doesn't mark the metal. So we've got our hook to this stage. Fantastic. And then we just want to hammer that top bit. But what I'll do is I'll wait until we've soldered it on and we've done all the rest of it because we want to work hard on it. And if we heat it again, it's going to soften it.
So are we going to put this inside this loop?
So what we do is we just twist it slightly to one side. So we've got that kind of, you see? And then we pop our link on. One last little tweak. And these pliers are good because you see how they're parallel. Again, there's not like, have I got any pliers that you know that open and they open at an angle?
Do you know what? It was,
here, like this.
Yeah, I'd spotted that before the parallel as they're closing, aren't they? Yeah, so they both sides close in at the same time.
Yeah, but it's great for being able to sort of flatten metal because you can get it right the way in.
Across,
like that, yeah. So it's good for making sure that your little joins and things are completely flush. So now we've just got to solder this. And because I've made my desk a mess, I'm struggling to find the solder.
So with projects, how long? I mean, I suppose it definitely will depend on the commission and things like that. Do you have is there an average time that something like a commission will take you, or a project will take you, or is it really dependent on the?
It depends on the thing, and I mean, I'm being a bit rough and ready here with this. Yeah. Usually, I would completely finish the inside of each link, completely finish the outside of each link with things, make sure everything's absolutely perfect. I wouldn't hand anything over to a client until it was absolutely spot on. Yeah. But for time constraints, we need to be. So, right, now we've gone from this mucky looking thing. Let's just check. Does it work? Hey, we have a chain. So, I'm dripping water on my nice bench thing, which we don't want.
Oh, we don't want that.
No, rust.
Picking up what we're learning. Got to keep everything dry.
But what we'll do now, because we're at the point where we can work hard on this, because we're just going to pop it in the pickle, is I will hammer this and make this nice and thing. But first, I want to make sure that I've got the gap right. Yeah. We want this tight, so it wants to be able to almost clip in.
Right.
So that we know it's not just going to slide out.
Slide out, yeah.
And once we've got it to that thing, then we just...
And again.
And again on the other side. Oh, a little tweak because it's coming apart a bit. And there.
I can show my learning now. We know that we've hammered that, so it hardens it again.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be moving in and out.
Now we're going to make it shiny again, and let's hope that my water, my lovely flask, is still hot.
How hot do you want it to be when you're doing something like this?
Ideally hotter than it probably is right now.
Like boiling the kettle? Or...
not quite boiling because you don't want any fumes, but you want it. I'll put a reasonable amount in and then we'll see. And then this is the safety pickle.
Safety pickle.
And obviously you can see it's still got hazardous things in, but it's not as bad. Is it sulfuric acid? We're not going to lose fingers. Although you don't want to put your hands in there. And also, you want to make sure that there's no steel or any kind of ferrous metal gets in there, because what it will do is cause a reaction. And if there's what this oxide is the heat that's come off, it brings the copper to the surface of the thing, so it's sort of the dirt out of the copper. You know how silver's got a percentage of copper in it?
I didn't till 2 seconds ago,
well,
but I do now, yeah.
Yeah, 925 silver is made from 92 parts or 92.5 parts silver, and the rest is made up with copper.
And so when we heat it,
the
copper comes
through. If you heat fine silver, it doesn't do that.
Right, there you go.
So, and as the copper is leached out in this thing, you can actually copper plate things by accident. But it comes in really handy if you've made a copper bracelet like this using silver solder. See how the mark is? I can put that in and copper plate over it.
And it'll go
completely hide that solder. So yeah, the water wasn't the hottest, so this might need a little minute.
You can see it changing a little bit, though, I think, already.
You can see it cleaning up, but it will need a little bit.
So I know you were saying this is a relatively new practice, and it was originally acid that was used in it. How long ago did this come in?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but it's probably with like European laws and things, isn't it? But you can actually make pickle. You can use salt and vinegar.
Right.
You can use citric acid, which is used quite often to make like juices, or I think they use it in brewing, home brewing and things like that. So there are natural ways you can do it, but the salt and vinegar stinks. It stinks like a chip shop in your thing, and it can make you quite hungry. If you're in the workshop all day. Yeah, it's sort of slowly cleaning it. But
you are seeing that. You are seeing that.
Obviously, it's fresh out of there, so it's still not looking shiny, is it? It's lighter, and we can see it. It's
definitely a lot lighter,
but it's not shiny. So this is where polishing wheels and things come in. Like I say, at home, I would use the tumbler. It's quick, it's easy. Well, there's probably a couple of little bits that I'd like to touch up with the solder. If I was at home, I'd be going over this with a fine-tooth comb and looking for any visible solder joins.
Oh yeah, you can see a little bit there, and
so I'd sort of go over that and touch it up. But for speed today, we shan't go into that kind of detail. But what we will do is,
I'm a rough and ready type of guy. I like the solder joints. I
can finish it when I get home.
I like to see how it's been made.
Yeah, but I like it to be perfect. But like I say, just for demonstration purposes today, we'll give this. Now this is basically like a green scrubby pad.
It does look a bit like one you get off your sponge, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's great, but it should just bring the silver up a little bit, but leave a nice soft matte finish.
It'd take a while if you were doing your whole dish, the whole like oven tray with it, but
but it will. I'll turn this up a bit.
And are these just ones that you've picked up over the time, like in terms of like the different connections and things like that? Different.
You sort of buy packs, whatever you need. These, like I say, the big up Lidl with their fabulous little rotary tools. This is really handy for if you're out and about.
Yeah.
Perfect for students to use. But all of these things, I just sort of buy them as I need them.
Yeah.
And I tend to buy packs of 5 or more. Of the little polishing mops and things, I buy in bulk because you go through them a lot.
I'm about to say, do they last a while, or does it depend what
different things last for? Like these green scrubby things don't usually last very long. I probably get 3 or 4 uses, maybe most, out of them. But things like these wheels and the sanding discs are brilliant because you see how it's a whole roll. And you just kind of rip it off as it wears down.
Clever, isn't it?
Yeah, they're great. You can make your own. I've got split mandrels and things where you make your own sanding things, but they're just brilliant. They sort of stay really solid.
You can even see just from this how much it's cleaned it up already.
Yeah, you can see if you sort of look at. We'll do this end link, but you can see where it's not been done, and then just a quick whiz over, and you can really see the difference in the finish. And like I say, that's just with a rough one. You can imagine when it's had a real high shine polish, they look fantastic.
Amazing.
But yeah, basically, that is how you make a bracelet.
Wow. Let's have a look. Let's hold this up to for Andy to get a closer look at. Superb,
like
isn't it?
The finish isn't perfect, but it would be if we had more time and
brilliant.
more machinery. But
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And we've got that. Oh, you've done that perfectly. So it's just got that bite, like you were saying, so it's not sliding in and out instantly, but just that's just that that little click that you're looking for.
So click. And the good thing with a bracelet like this is it's adjustable. If you've got, some women have got really, really tiny little wrists, you don't have to use that one. You can put it in there and you can just have it dangly. And
fantastic.
So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done. Right, well, fantastic. It's been so eye-opening. I feel like I've learned an absolute load. Hopefully everyone at home has learned a lot from the session as well.
So. I've had great fun being here as well, so thank you.
No problem. So just before we get out of here, just to recap, the big one is, if you've been watching at home and you think to yourself, I'd love to have a go at this, Gail is doing workshops and classes, so please be sure to contact Gail. We'll make sure her email address pops up on the screen now. It's somewhere on the screen. And yeah, get in contact with Gail. But if you would like to have a chat with Gail in real life, come and see her. Come and check out some of her amazing artwork as well, and see Gail doing some demonstrations. Be sure to get down to MakeFest on the 26th of March. We are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we are going to be at Culture HQ at Runcorn Shopping City. The website address again will be on the screen now. Be sure to take a look at it. If you go to our homepage, you'll see right at the top we have a button where you can click to get free tickets for it. So all you need to do is click on that, tell us how many people are coming, and that's you in and secured your place. So brilliant. Thanks again, Gail.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's been fun.
And we'll see you all at the next Maker workshop.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.